Changes and transitions are always going to be really difficult times for everyone. So it's the unknown, it's not knowing what's going to be happening next. So for someone with a sensory processing disorder, if I'm in an environment and I'm quite comfortable and I'm regulating my sensory input in this environment, to then be encouraged to change activity or to move rooms or to sit next to somebody else, my sensory processing could change. So for example, if I was to leave a room, the sounds in that environment could be a lot louder. The visual information could be a lot more complex. The smells could be really overwhelming. So transitions for someone with a sensory processing difficulty can be related to any of their sensory systems. It's really important that you're able to personalise, recognise their specific sensory needs, so then you can prepare, have the right resources ready. If they're sensitive to auditory information, do they use ear defenders? Do they use plugs? Do they use music? What do they use to help themselves feel comfortable within a loud situation? How can we support people to be able to then transition? Maybe you can show them the information and visuals, especially if they're sensitive to auditory information. By seeing information and instructions in a visual sense, we're withdrawing from the fact that we have to rely on our auditory sense, which could be overwhelmed. And we can see the visuals, which are permanent, they're not going to go anywhere. So I can remind myself, I can keep looking at the pictures to remind myself what I'm being asked to do. Now, think about the environment or the activity that they're doing. Is it something which that person really enjoys? Is it something which that person finds difficult to do? So it might be related to confidence as well. Are they going into a space, into a room, which might be overwhelming for various sensory reasons? So I've mentioned about sound, I've mentioned about visual. Smell is a really big one, especially in education. So if you have a dining room and in your dining room is the same place that you have your PE lessons, are you doing PE when there's still that smell of lunch or snack time? Or are you doing PE when lots of other children have just done PE as well? There's going to be lots of smells in that environment. So if someone's sensitive to olfactory stimulation, so the sense of smell, that could be a really difficult transition to want to do, to be involved in. Also with transitions, it's a physical movement, it's a changing of ourselves. So again, it can be related to our vestibular sense, so the fact that we're actually moving. If I'm oversensitive to my vestibular sense, I might prefer actually just to stay still and to be in one place. Proprioception, as soon as I'm standing up, I'm getting lots of proprioceptive feedback from my joints and my muscles to tell me where my body is in space. So as soon as I start moving, I'm getting lots of sensations from all of my sensory systems. It's really important that you can identify an individual's sensory needs to support them before we even think about transitioning and changing activities and spaces.